We're all constantly trying to connect, to share our ideas, whether it's a quick text or a huge global broadcast. But have you ever really stopped and thought about how we got here? Well, this is that story. It's about our unending quest for connection, a journey that literally starts with a drawing on a cave wall and leads right up to the very device you're looking at right now. So let's just imagine for a second. You figured out something crucial, something life-saving. But you've got no paper, no internet, nothing. How in the world do you make sure that idea survives for 1,000 years? For our ancestors, this wasn't some fun little thought experiment. This was about survival. So how'd they do it? The first great inventions, they weren't tools for building houses. They were tools for communicating. Humanity's earliest innovators were basically trying to defeat the two biggest enemies of information, time and distance. To tackle this massive problem, our ancestors came up with two brilliant but totally different technologies. One was all about making ideas last forever. The other, it was about making them spread like wildfire. Think of it this way, right? Cave paintings gave an idea permanence. They could last for thousands of years, but they were stuck in one spot. Stories told around a campfire, though, they had incredible reach. They could travel with people, person to person, but they were fragile. They could change with every telling. So that was the original trade-off, permanence or reach. You just couldn't have both. To get around the limits of memory, our ancestors developed these amazing hacks for the human brain. Things like rhythm and rhyme and lots of repetition. They made information really sticky. It's the same reason you can probably still sing a song from when you were a little kid. They even created these specialized roles like the West African griots, who were basically the living, breathing hard drives of their communities. And that's how things were for, well, thousands of years. But then a whole new challenge popped up: scale. How could you combine the permanence of that cave painting with the reach of the campfire story and then share it with thousands of people all at once? The answer, believe it or not, came from a German goldsmith who had a clever idea with a wine press. Gutenberg's printing press was the very first piece of tech that could mass produce information, and wow, did it change the course of human history. 3,600. That is how many pages a single printing press could churn out in a single workday. For comparison, a highly skilled scribe, they'd be lucky to get just a handful done. This wasn't just a little step forward, this was a complete revolution. And here's why that matters so much. The printing press didn't just mean cheaper books. It completely broke the monopoly on knowledge. For the first time ever, ideas could spread way beyond the control of kings and priests. It sparked revolutions in science, in religion, in politics, you name it. Okay, so the printing press solved the problem of scale, but it didn't solve for speed. A book could reach thousands of people, sure, but it still had to get there by horse or by ship. So the next great challenge was, how do you make information move at the speed of light? To really get this next leap, you have to meet Claude Shannon, who's basically the father of the information age. He realized that all communication, it doesn't matter if it's a drumbeat or a radio wave, it's all about one thing: perfectly recreating a message from one point to another. His information theory became the blueprint for our entire digital world. Shannon's real genius was boiling all information down to its absolute simplest form: the bit, a simple on or off switch, a 1 or a 0. This incredibly simple binary code became the universal language for computers, letting any piece of information, a word, a picture, a song, be sent anywhere in the world perfectly. And out of that simple idea came everything. The internet was born. It was the ultimate fulfillment of Shannon's theory, a global network that could reproduce any message, anywhere, instantly. Suddenly, one single person could have the same global reach as a massive corporation. Just think about that. So, once we could connect with anyone, anywhere on the planet, well, the next logical step was to do business with them, right? The internet didn't just create a new way to share ideas. It created a whole new global marketplace. The internet basically just flattened the entire business world. The old, slow model of having factories and warehouses and physical storefronts, it got replaced by this direct, lightning-fast connection between a business and its customers. The really successful online businesses, they didn't just, build a website for their old company. Nope. They tore down their old way of doing things and started completely from scratch. They asked one simple question: what does our customer actually want? and then they use technology to build the entire business around that answer. So, we've got on this huge journey from cave paintings all the way to the cloud. It's easy to think that absolutely everything has changed. But what if the most important things haven't changed at all? In this image here, it illustrates the point perfectly. Look, technology has changed how we choose, but it hasn't really changed why we choose. In a world with infinite options, we still fall back on the same basic questions. Is it a good price? Do I trust this brand? Is the quality any good? The technology is brand new, but our decision-making process is ancient. And when you really look closely, you see it all comes down to these four timeless needs. It doesn't matter if you're in a crowded market 1,000 years ago or on Amazon today. You want a fair price, you want it to be easy, you want it fast, and you want to feel like you, as an individual, actually matter. And that really brings us to the central paradox of this whole story. The technology is always in flux. It's constantly changing, from cave walls to the cloud. But the human needs are ancient. We are still trying to solve the exact same problems we always have: how to share our ideas, how to build communities, and how to exchange value with each other. We've conquered permanence, we've conquered scale and speed, but our quest for connection, it is far from over. So what's the next great challenge? What's the problem that seems impossible to solve today that the next big revolution in technology will make seem totally trivial? That's the question I'm going to leave you with.